The stars shone bright in the night sky above Centauri Prime. The planet was home to the Vril, a race of tall, thin beings with skin that changed color based on their feelings. For 300 years, the galaxy had known peace. Different alien races lived and worked together under the alliance of sentient species. No wars, no fights, just peace. The Vril joined the alliance 50 years ago. They brought amazing technology that could heal the sick, clean dirty water, and help ships travel faster through space. But they also brought strict rules about their culture. The most important rule was simple: no one walks on their sacred mountains. To the Vril, mountains were not just rocks and dirt. They were the homes of their ancestors' spirits. Captain Maya Chen looked out the window of her ship as it landed on Centauri Prime. This was her first time leading a team to meet a new alien race. She felt both excited and nervous. "Remember," she told her team, "we must follow all Vril customs." The Alliance Council made it very clear. One mistake could hurt our chances for trade deals. Dr. James Wilson nodded. As the team's expert on alien life, he should know better than anyone how important it was to respect other cultures. But Wilson had a problem. He was too curious for his own good. He always wanted to see more, learn more, touch more. "Don't worry, Captain," Wilson said with a smile. "I studied their culture for years. Did you know their skin turns blue when they're happy? And green when they're thinking hard about something?" The ship landed with a soft bump. Outside, a group of Vril waited. Their skin showed swirls of purple and gold, colors of formal welcome. The tallest Vril stepped forward. "Welcome to Centauri Prime," the Vril said through a translator device. "I am High Counselor Ziv. We hope your stay will be pleasant and productive." Captain Chen bowed in the way she had practiced. "We are honored by your welcome." The people of Earth look forward to friendship with the Vril. The humans followed their hosts to the guest houses. The buildings were made of a clear material that looked like glass, but felt warm like living skin. Inside, the rooms changed shape based on the needs of the person using them. Wilson's room sensed he liked to look at the stars, so the ceiling became clear, showing the night sky. After dinner with their hosts, the team gathered in Chen's room to talk about the next day's meetings. "The Vril have agreed to discuss trade deals for their healing technology," Chen said. "But first, they want to show us their sacred places so we understand their culture better." "Will we see the Mountain of Ancestral Voices?" Wilson asked, eyes wide with interest. Chen shook her head. "No, that mountain is off-limits to all non-Vril. We've been warned several times. No one from our team goes near that mountain. Is that clear?" Everyone nodded. They talked a bit more about the next day's plans, then went to their rooms to sleep. But Dr. Wilson couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw strange plants and animals he wanted to study. He looked through his window at the alien world outside. The twin suns were just starting to rise, painting the sky in colors he had never seen before. "Just a short walk," he told himself. "I'll be back before anyone wakes up." He put on his jacket, grabbed his data pad to take pictures, and quietly left his room. The air outside smelled sweet, like flowers and spices mixed together. Birds with 6 wings flew overhead, singing songs that sounded almost like words. Wilson smiled. This was why he had joined the space program: to see new worlds, to learn new things. He found a small path that led away from the guest houses and started walking. He didn't know that this simple walk would soon shake the peace of the entire galaxy. Dr. Wilson walked along the path, feeling happy and free. The twin suns made everything glow with warm light. He stopped often to take pictures of strange plants with his data pad. Some plants seemed to move when he got close, as if they were shy. "Amazing," he said to himself, bending down to look at a flower that changed colors like the Vril's skin. "I could study these for years." The path started to go uphill. Wilson didn't notice at first. He was too busy looking at small flying creatures that buzzed around his head like curious children. When he finally looked up, He saw that the path was now steeper and lined with small stone markers. The markers had Vril writing on them. Wilson couldn't read the language well, but he recognized some warning symbols. He should have turned back then. But ahead of him, he saw plants unlike any others he had seen so far. His curiosity pushed him forward. Just a quick look, he told himself. Then I'll head back. The air grew thinner as he climbed higher. The path twisted around large rocks and through groves of tall, thin trees with silver leaves. Wilson felt like he was the first human to see these sights, which in a way he was. After an hour of walking, Wilson reached a flat area near the top of what he now realized was a mountain. He looked back the way he had come and saw the Vril city spread out below him. From up here, he could see that the buildings were arranged in patterns, like a giant work of art. "What a view," he said, taking more pictures. He sat on a rock and ate a protein bar from his pocket while watching the city wake up. Tiny dots moved along streets as Vril went about their morning business. Wilson didn't know that one of those tiny dots was the high priest of the Vril, performing the morning ritual in the Temple of Voices. The priest stood in a circle of light, his skin glowing white with spiritual focus. He sang the ancient songs that connected the Vril to their ancestors. Then suddenly, the priest stopped singing. His skin flashed red, then black, colors of alarm and anger. The sensors in the temple had detected something wrong. Someone was on the sacred mountain. Someone who should not be there. The priest touched a crystal panel on the wall. A 3D map appeared, showing the mountain of ancestral voices. A red dot pulsed near the top. The trespasser. "Scan for life signs," the priest said to the temple computer. The computer hummed softly. Life form identified as human. Male. Alone. The priest's skin darkened even more. "Alert the council. Alert security. This is a violation of our most sacred law." Across the Vril city, alarm signals flashed. Guards ran to their posts. The High Council members were woken from their rest period, all because a human had walked where no off-worlder was allowed to go. Back on the mountain, Wilson finished his snack and stood up. He had been gone longer than he planned. Captain Chen would be looking for him soon. He took a few last pictures of the view, then started down the path. As he walked down, he noticed that the Vril city seemed more active now. Vehicles moved quickly through the streets. Something was happening, but from this distance, he couldn't tell what. Probably just their normal morning rush, he thought. When Wilson was halfway down the mountain, he heard a sound like thunder. He looked up to see 3 Vril aircraft speeding toward the mountain. Their engines roared as they circled overhead, then hovered directly above him. A voice boomed from one of the aircraft, first in Vril language, then in broken human English. "Human, stop walking. You stand on forbidden ground. This is sacred mountain. You have broken peace." Wilson's heart began to race. He realized now where he was, the mountain of ancestral voices, the one place they had been specifically told not to go. He had broken the most important Vril rule without even knowing it. "I didn't mean to," he said, though the aircraft couldn't hear him. "I was just taking a walk." A beam of light shot down from one of the aircraft, surrounding Wilson in a glowing cylinder. He felt his feet leave the ground as the beam lifted him up toward the waiting Vril. What had started as a simple morning stroll was about to become a galactic incident. Captain Chen woke to loud knocking on her door. She checked the time. It was early morning. Something was wrong. She opened the door to find Diplomat Lara Reed, her face pale with worry. "Captain, we have a problem," Reed said. "Dr. Wilson is missing, and the Vril are very angry. They say one of us climbed their sacred mountain." Chen felt her stomach drop. "Get everyone up. Now." Within minutes, the human team gathered in the main room of the guest house. Everyone was there except Wilson. "Has anyone seen Dr. Wilson this morning?" Chen asked. No one had. Chen was about to send out search teams when the main door slid open. 5 Vril guards entered, their skin flashing angry red. Behind them walked High Counselor Ziv, whose normally purple skin now showed dark patches of black. "Captain Chen," Ziv said, "your team member has committed a serious offense." He walked on the mountain of ancestral voices. "This is forbidden." "There must be a mistake," Chen said. "We all understood your rules." "No mistake," Ziv replied. "He was caught taking pictures on the mountain. We have him in custody now." The door opened again. 2 more guards led in Dr. Wilson. He looked scared and confused. "Captain, I'm sorry," Wilson said. "I went for a walk this morning. I didn't know I was on their sacred mountain. The path just led there." Chen wanted to scream at him, but she kept her face calm. Getting angry wouldn't help now. "High Counselor Ziv," she said, turning to the Vril leader, "we deeply apologize for this mistake." Dr. Wilson meant no disrespect. He simply didn't know where he was. "Not knowing is no excuse," Ziv said. "The markers along the path show clear warnings." "I couldn't read them," Wilson said. "I recognize warning symbols, but I didn't understand what they were warning about." Ziv's skin darkened even more. "This offense cannot be ignored. The High Priest has called for a meeting of the full council. They will decide what happens next." After the Vril left, Chen turned to Wilson. "What were you thinking? We specifically told you not to go near that mountain." "I didn't know I was near it," Wilson said. "I just followed a path. It looked like a normal trail." Chen shook her head. "Do you understand what you've done? The Vril take their sacred places very seriously. This could ruin our mission. It could even affect relations between our whole species." Wilson looked down. "I'm sorry. I just wanted to see the plants and animals." Chen contacted Earth right away. The message would take hours to reach home, and more hours for a response to come back. Meanwhile, they were stuck waiting for the Vril Council to decide their fate. The team sat in tense silence. Some glared at Wilson. Others looked scared. "What will they do to us?" asked Dr. Patel, the team's medical officer. "I don't know," Chen admitted. "No one has ever broken this rule before." Hours passed. Outside, they could see more Vril gathering near the guest houses. The crowd grew larger. Some held signs with Vril writing. Others chanted words the translators couldn't catch. "They're protesters," said Reed, watching through the window. "They think we disrespected their culture on purpose." The news spread quickly to other planets. The Alliance Council called an emergency meeting. Other alien races began to take sides. The Krell, who had never fully trusted humans, sent a message. "This proves humans are too reckless to be part of the Alliance." The gentle Thulians offered to help solve the problem. "We can speak to both sides and find peace." The Earth government sent orders to military ships to move closer to human colonies, just in case. No one wanted war, but everyone prepared for the worst. Back on Centauri Prime, the humans waited. Wilson sat alone, thinking about how one small walk had turned into such a big problem. "I never meant for this to happen," he whispered. Captain Chen looked at him with tired eyes. "It doesn't matter what you meant. It matters what you did." Outside, the twin suns began to set. The protesters lit floating lights that hovered above the crowd. In the growing darkness, the lights looked like angry stars. Finally, a message came. The Vril Council had reached their decision. They would announce it at dawn. No one slept that night. Dawn came with pale blue light from the twin suns. The human team stood in their best clothes, waiting to hear the Vril Council's decision. Dr. Wilson's face was pale. He had not slept all night, thinking about the trouble he had caused. A group of Vril guards came to take them to the Great Hall. As they walked through the city streets, Vril people watched them with skin colors showing anger, fear, and curiosity. Some turned their backs as the humans passed, a sign of deep disrespect in Vril culture. The Great Hall was a huge round building with a dome that seemed to be made of liquid light. Inside, hundreds of Vril sat in rising circles. The human team was led to the center of the room, where everyone could see them. High Counselor Ziv spoke first. For 300 years, the Alliance has kept peace among the stars. Today, that peace is in danger because of one human's actions. Captain Chen stepped forward. We deeply apologize for this mistake. We ask for your understanding. The high priest stood next. His skin was white with streaks of red, a color pattern the humans had never seen before. Understanding. The priest said, "The human walked on ground where only those who have trained for years may go." He took pictures of our most sacred sites. Pictures, like they were things to collect and show off. Dr. Wilson looked down in shame. The priest was right. He had treated their sacred mountain like a tourist spot. The priest continued, "His actions have upset the balance between our people and our ancestors. The spirits are angry. Already, strange weather has hit our northern lands. Crops are failing. This is the cost of disrespect." Chen tried again. "High priest, Dr. Wilson didn't know." Silence. The priest said, "The council has spoken for hours about this. We have reached a decision." The room grew quiet. Even the protesters outside stopped their chanting. "The human, James Wilson, must face the ritual of cleansing," the priest announced. "Only this can restore balance." Whispers spread through the hall. Many Vril's skin turned blue with surprise. The ritual of cleansing was an ancient ceremony, never before shared with off-worlders. "What is this ritual?" Chen asked carefully. High Counselor Ziv explained, "The one who broke the sacred rules must join with the memory of our ancestors. He will understand why his actions were wrong. It is not painful, but it will change him." Wilson stepped forward. "I'll do it," he said before Chen could speak. "I caused this problem. I'll do whatever it takes to fix it." The priest's skin showed spots of purple, mild approval. "The ritual will take place at sunset tomorrow. Until then, you will stay in your guest houses." As they left the great hall, Chen pulled Wilson aside. "You agreed too quickly. We don't know what this ritual really does." "What choice do we have?" Wilson asked. "If I refuse, we could have an interstellar incident. Maybe even more." Back at the guest houses, they found a message from Earth. It had finally arrived after the long journey through space. The message was clear. Wilson must cooperate with any reasonable request. Alliance peace is the top priority. That night, news traveled across the galaxy. On the Krell homeworld, military ships prepared for possible conflict. The Thulians sent their best diplomats to help. The silicon-based Ricks, who rarely got involved in organic problems, began watching the situation with their crystal eyes. On a dozen worlds, people looked up at the stars and wondered if the long peace was about to end. Wilson sat by his window, looking at the mountain of ancestral voices. In the dark, it was just a shadow against the star-filled sky. Such a simple thing, a pile of rock and dirt. But to the Vril, it was everything. A soft knock came at his door. It was Captain Chen. "The ship doctor gave me these," she said, holding out 2 small pills. "They'll help you sleep." Wilson took them. "Thanks. Do you think this ritual will really fix things?" Chen's face was serious. "I hope so, because if it doesn't, I don't know what happens next." Outside, the twin moons of Centauri Prime rose above the mountain. The ritual was less than a day away. The day of the ritual arrived. Dr. Wilson woke early, his mind racing with worry. What would the ritual of cleansing be like? Would it hurt? Would it change his mind somehow? No human had ever gone through a Vril ritual before. Captain Chen gathered the team for breakfast, but no one felt like eating. "I've been in touch with Earth," Chen said. "They've ordered us to go through with this. The Alliance Council is watching closely." "What if something goes wrong?" asked Dr. Patel. "Then we deal with it," Chen said firmly. "Right now, Wilson's ritual is the only thing standing between us and a major diplomatic crisis." At noon, a Vril servant brought special clothes for Wilson to wear. They looked like liquid metal, but felt soft against his skin. The clothes changed color slightly when he put them on, matching his skin tone. "The garments will help you connect with the ancestors," the servant explained. As the twin suns began to set, painting the sky in purple and gold, Vril guards came to take Wilson to the base of the Mountain of Ancestral Voices. Captain Chen and one other team member were allowed to come as witnesses. A large crowd had gathered. Some Vril still showed angry red skin, but most now displayed colors of solemn blue and purple. This was a serious religious event for them. The high priest waited at a flat stone altar at the base of the mountain. On the altar sat a crystal bowl filled with glowing blue liquid. "Approach, human," the priest said. Wilson walked forward on shaky legs. Chen gave him an encouraging nod. "Do you understand why you are here?" the priest asked. Wilson nodded. "I walked on your sacred mountain without permission. I showed disrespect to your ancestors and your culture. I am here to make things right." The priest's skin showed hints of green. Mild surprise at Wilson's understanding. "The Mountain of Ancestral Voices is where our dead speak to us," the priest explained. "For thousands of years, our people have placed the memories of our dying ones into the mountain's special crystals. When we walk the sacred paths, we hear their wisdom. When you walk there without training, you disturb their rest." Wilson hadn't known this. He felt even worse now about what he had done. "This bowl contains the memory fluid of our ancestors," the priest continued. "By sharing their thoughts, you will understand our ways. No off-worlder has ever joined with our ancestors' memories. Are you willing?" Wilson looked at the glowing blue liquid. It seemed to move on its own, like it was alive. "I am willing," he said. The priest nodded. "Place your hands in the fluid." Wilson took a deep breath and dipped his fingers into the bowl. The liquid was warm. It climbed up his hands like it was curious, covering his skin in a thin blue layer. Then suddenly, his mind exploded with images. He saw Centauri Prime thousands of years ago, when the Vril were still learning to build cities. He felt the love of a Vril mother for her children. He experienced the wonder of a Vril scientist discovering new stars. Most of all, he understood what the mountain meant to them. It wasn't just a pile of rocks. It was their history, their family, their connection to everything that came before. Walking on it with casual curiosity was like someone walking through his grandmother's house, touching her things, taking pictures of her most personal items without permission. Tears ran down Wilson's face as the memories flowed through him. He had never meant to hurt anyone, but now he truly understood why his actions had caused such pain. The memories faded slowly. Wilson found himself kneeling on the ground, the blue liquid dripping from his hands. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I didn't know. I truly didn't know." The high priest's skin turned deep blue, the color of acceptance. "Now you know," the priest said. "Now all humans will know through you." The crowd of Vril watching the ritual began to change color too, their anger fading to calmer blues and purples. The ritual had worked. Wilson had shown true understanding. But as he stood up, legs still shaky from the intense experience, Wilson wondered if understanding would be enough to repair the damage that had been done. News of the ritual spread quickly across the galaxy. On the Alliance space station, leaders from 27 different species watched recordings of Wilson kneeling before the Vril, his hands glowing blue with their ancestors' memories. "The human showed proper respect," said the Thulian ambassador, her feathers rippling with approval. "One ritual does not erase the offense," argued the Krell representative, his armored skin clicking as he spoke. "Humans must face consequences." On Earth, government leaders watched the same recordings. They were relieved that Wilson had completed the ritual without problems, but worried about what would happen next. "The Krell are moving ships closer to our colony on Epsilon 9, said General Martinez during an emergency meeting. "They say it's just a routine patrol, but we know better." "Should we move our own ships?" asked the president. "Already done," Martinez replied. "But we're being careful. One wrong move could start a war." Back on Centauri Prime, Dr. Wilson sat alone in his room. The ritual had changed him. He could still feel echoes of real memories in his mind. Their joys, their sorrows, their deep connection to their planet and ancestors. There was a knock at his door. It was Captain Chen. "How are you feeling?" she asked. "Different," Wilson said. "I can't explain it well. It's like I lived 100 vril lives in those few minutes. I understand them now in a way I never could before." Chen nodded. "The High Council wants to see us tomorrow morning. They'll tell us what happens next." That night, Wilson dreamed of the mountain. In his dream, he saw Vril from long ago building the first paths up the slopes. He saw them carrying crystal containers with glowing blue liquid, the memories of their dying elders. He felt their reverence for the place where the past and present met. He woke up with tears on his face, still feeling the deep love the Vril had for their sacred spaces. The next morning, the human team went to meet the High Council. The mood was different now. The guard's skin showed calmer colors. The angry protesters were gone from the streets. In the Great Hall, High Counselor Ziv greeted them with formal politeness. "The ritual has satisfied our spiritual needs," Ziv said. "Dr. Wilson has shown true understanding. The ancestors are at peace again." Captain Chen let out a small sigh of relief. "We are grateful for your understanding. Earth is ready to make amends in any way we can." The High Priest stepped forward. "There is still the matter of formal consequences. The Alliance must see that such violations have costs." Chen tensed again. "What kind of consequences?" "Nothing severe," Ziv said. "But we cannot proceed with the trade agreements we discussed before. Not for now. Perhaps in a year or two, when memories have faded." This was bad news for Earth. The healing technology from the Vril would have saved many lives. But it was better than war. "We understand," Chen said. "We accept your decision." After the meeting, the team returned to their guest houses to pack. They would leave Centauri Prime the next day. Their mission only partly successful. "I'm sorry about the trade agreements," Wilson said to Chen as they walked. "That's my fault too." Chen shook her head. "You fixed a problem that could have been much worse. Yes, we lost some opportunities, but we avoided a major crisis. The Alliance is still intact." That evening, as Wilson packed his things, he received a message. It was from the High Priest, asking him to come alone to the Temple of Voices. Wilson was nervous as he walked through the quiet streets. What did the priest want? Was there another ritual? More consequences? The temple was a small building with walls that seemed to sing softly when you got close. The High Priest waited inside, his skin a calm blue. "James Wilson," the priest said, using his first name for the first time. "You have experienced our ancestors' memories. No other off-worlder has ever done this." Wilson nodded, unsure what to say. "This creates a bond," the priest continued. "You understand us now, and perhaps through you, other humans can understand us too." The priest held out a small crystal vial with a tiny amount of the glowing blue liquid inside. "This is a gift," he said, "a small memory crystal containing basic knowledge of our culture and history. Take it to Earth. Share what you have learned. Perhaps then, we can build true understanding between our peoples." Wilson took the vial carefully. It was warm in his hand. "Thank you," he said. "I will treasure this." As he left the temple, Wilson felt a small spark of hope. Maybe something good could come from his mistake after all. The human ship left Centauri Prime the next morning. As they flew away, Dr. Wilson looked down at the planet through a window. He could see the mountain of ancestral voices growing smaller in the distance. It would always be part of him now. The journey back to Earth would take 2 weeks. During that time, reports came in from across the Alliance. The Krell had pulled their ships back from human colonies. The Thulians were speaking up for humans in Alliance meetings. Slowly, the crisis was cooling down. Captain Chen sent daily reports to Earth about what had happened. She also spent time with Wilson, talking about his experience with the Vril memories. "It's hard to explain," Wilson told her as they sat in the ship's small dining area. "I can feel what they feel about the mountain. It's like having another set of thoughts in my head. Is it uncomfortable? Chen asked. Wilson thought about it. No, it's actually beautiful. They love their world so much. They feel connected to everything around them. The plants, the air, the ground they walk on. I never understood that before. Chen nodded. The high priest gave you a great gift, both with the ritual and the memory crystal. I know, Wilson said, and I want to use it well. When they reached Earth, they were not welcomed as heroes. The failed trade mission meant no new medical technology. Many people blamed Wilson for this. At Space Command headquarters, General Martinez met with the team. His face was serious as he read reports on his screen. The good news is that war has been avoided, Martinez said. The bad news is that our standing in the Alliance has been damaged. Some species now think humans are reckless and disrespectful. That's not fair, Dr. Patel said. It was one mistake by one person. Fair doesn't matter in politics, Martinez replied. Perception matters. And right now, the perception is that humans don't respect other cultures. Wilson spoke up. I think I can help change that. He explained about the memory crystal and what the high priest had told him. If people could understand the Vril like I do now, it would help build trust again. Martinez looked doubtful. How would that work? I'm not sure yet, Wilson admitted, but I'm going to find out. In the weeks that followed, Wilson worked with scientists to study the memory crystal. They found that it contained basic information about Vril culture, history, and beliefs. It wasn't as intense as what Wilson had experienced during the ritual, but it was still valuable. Wilson began giving talks at universities and government meetings. He shared what he had learned about the Vril. He showed videos and pictures from Centauri Prime. Most importantly, he explained why walking on the mountain had been so hurtful to them. Imagine if someone walked into your home, he would say, and started touching your family photos, sitting on your parents' bed, taking pictures of everything like it was a museum. That's how the Vril felt when I walked on their mountain. It wasn't just a place to them. It was family. People listened. Slowly, his message spread. 6 months after the incident, the Alliance Council held a special meeting about cultural respect. They invited representatives from all member species to share information about their sacred places and customs. The Vril High Priest attended this meeting. When he saw Wilson there, his skin turned purple with formal recognition. The human who walked our mountain now helps others avoid the same mistake, the priest said to the council. This shows growth. Wilson bowed in the Vril way. I have learned much from your people, he said. I hope to learn more. That evening, the high priest invited Wilson to a private meeting. They sat in a quiet room in the Alliance headquarters. Your efforts have not gone unnoticed, the priest said. The Council of Elders has been watching. Wilson felt nervous. I'm just trying to make things right. The priest's skin showed hints of green. Thoughtfulness. There is talk of allowing you to return to Centauri Prime, not as a diplomat, but as a student of our ways. Would this interest you? Wilson's heart leaped. A chance to go back, to learn more about the Vril and their connection to their ancestors. It was more than he had hoped for. Yes, he said. That would interest me very much. The priest nodded. Then it shall be arranged. As Wilson left the meeting, he felt a strange mix of emotions. His mistake had nearly caused a war. But from that mistake had come new understanding, new possibilities. Perhaps sometimes, even the worst errors could lead to growth. 1 year after the mountain incident, Dr. James Wilson returned to Centauri Prime. This time, he was not part of a diplomatic team. He was a student, the first human ever invited to study Vril culture up close. A small crowd waited as his ship landed. Some Vril still showed signs of discomfort, patches of yellow and orange on their skin, but most displayed calm blues and purples. In the front of the crowd stood the high priest, his skin a welcoming shade of deep blue. Welcome back, James Wilson, the priest said. Are you ready to learn our ways? Wilson nodded. I am ready and grateful for this chance. His living space was smaller than before, a simple room in a building where young Vril studied their own history. The walls were made of the same living material as other Vril buildings, but they were plainer. This was not a place for important visitors, but for serious students. Wilson's days fell into a pattern. In the mornings, he studied Vril language with a patient teacher who would flash different colors to show him when his pronunciation was right or wrong. In the afternoons, he learned about Vril history and culture. And in the evenings, he was sometimes allowed to join in community meals, where Vril families gathered to share food and stories. At first, the other students kept their distance, but as weeks passed, they grew more curious about him. One young Vril named Taz began to sit with Wilson during meals. "Why did you come back?" Taz asked one evening. After causing so much trouble, most beings would stay away. Wilson thought about this, because I needed to understand better. The ritual showed me pieces of your culture, but there is so much more to learn. Taz's skin showed swirls of green. Curiosity. What do humans think about death? This was a common question from the Vril. They were fascinated by how humans dealt with death differently than they did. "We say goodbye to our dead," Wilson explained. "We remember them in our hearts and minds, but we don't have a way to keep their actual memories alive like you do." "That must be very sad," Taz said, "to truly lose someone forever." 3 months into his stay, Wilson was finally allowed to visit the Mountain of Ancestral Voices again, this time with proper permission and training. The high priest himself led a small group of students up the winding path. "Watch where you step," the priest instructed. "Each stone has meaning. Each turn in the path represents a time in our history." Wilson followed carefully, noting how different this climb felt from his first accidental one. Then he had been a careless tourist. Now he was a respectful student. Near the top, they reached a flat area with crystal formations rising from the ground. The priest touched one crystal, and it began to glow with soft blue light. "This holds the memories of Ziv Talon, who lived 800 years ago," the priest explained. "He was the first to map the stars beyond our system." The students took turns placing their hands on the crystal. When it was Wilson's turn, he hesitated. "Will it work for me? I'm not Vril." The priest's skin showed gentle blue waves. Reassurance. "The memories respond to respect, not species. You may try." Wilson touched the crystal. At once, his mind filled with images of stars and planets seen through different eyes. He felt the wonder of a Vril scientist discovering new worlds long before humans had even left their own planet. When the vision faded, Wilson found himself sitting on the ground, tears in his eyes. "It's beautiful," he whispered. The priest nodded. "This is why we protect our mountain. It is not just rock and dirt. It is our living history." News of Wilson's studies spread throughout the Alliance. Other species began to show interest in learning more about each other's sacred places and customs. The Thulians opened their temple of flight to visitors from other worlds. The silicon-based rigs allowed outsiders to view their crystal gardens for the first time in a century. Even the suspicious Krell grudgingly agreed to create educational materials about their burial grounds. Slowly, what had started as a diplomatic crisis was turning into something new. A cultural exchange that strengthened the alliance rather than weakened it. When Wilson sent reports back to Earth, he always ended with the same message. Sometimes the worst mistakes can lead to the greatest understanding, if we are willing to learn from them. 5 years after Dr. James Wilson's morning walk nearly caused an interstellar war, he stood on a platform in the great meeting hall of the Alliance Council. Representatives from 33 different species watched as he accepted the Peace Builder Award, the highest honor the Alliance could give. Wilson looked different now. His hair had gray streaks. His face showed new lines. He wore a Vril-style robe with patterns that told the story of his journey from ignorant visitor to cultural bridge builder. 5 years ago, I took a walk that almost ended peace in our galaxy. Wilson began his speech. I climbed a mountain without understanding what it meant to the Vril people. It was a simple mistake with big consequences. The crowd was quiet. Many remembered the tension of those days, how close they had come to conflict. But from that mistake came something important, Wilson continued. We learned that we need to understand each other better. Not just our politics or our trade goods, but our hearts, what matters most to each of us. In the front row sat Captain Chen, now Admiral Chen, who led the Alliance Cultural Exchange Program. Beside her sat the High Priest of the Vril, his skin glowing a deep, contented blue. Today, over 200 sacred and special sites across our alliance are open to respectful visitors, Wilson said. Students from 50 planets study the customs and beliefs of other species. We have learned to ask before we walk on each other's special ground. After the ceremony, Wilson met with old friends. The High Priest approached him with an offering, a new crystal vial, larger than the first one he had been given years ago. This contains more memories, the priest explained, not just of our history, but of these past 5 years. Your time with us, the changes in the alliance, the new understanding between species. Wilson took the vial carefully. Thank you. I will share these memories respectfully. We know you will, the priest said. You have learned our most important teaching, that all ground can be sacred if we approach it with respect. Later that evening, Wilson walked alone in the Alliance Gardens. The paths there had been designed by landscape artists from 12 different worlds. Each section showed the beauty of a different homeworld, with plants and rocks arranged in ways that held special meaning for those species. He found Admiral Chen sitting on a bench in the Earth section, surrounded by trees and flowers from their home planet. Did you ever think, Chen asked as Wilson sat beside her, that your morning walk would lead to all this? Wilson shook his head. Never. I thought my career was over. I thought I might have started a war. And instead, you started a movement, Chen said. The cultural exchange program has achieved more in 5 years than traditional diplomacy did in 50. It was true. The program now had offices on 27 planets. Young people from across the galaxy signed up to learn about other species and their ways. Trade had increased between worlds. Military tensions had eased. The alliance was stronger than ever. As the stars came out overhead, Wilson thought about how far they had all come. The Krell, once so suspicious of humans, now had 3 exchange students living on Earth. The Vril had opened a cultural center where visitors could safely experience memory crystals. Even the mysterious Ricks had begun to share their silicon-based art forms with organic species. We still make mistakes, Wilson said. Cultural misunderstandings still happen. Of course, Chen agreed. But now we have better ways to fix them when they do. We ask questions. We listen to the answers. We try to understand. Wilson nodded. These simple things, asking, listening, understanding, had become the foundation of a stronger peace. The next morning, Wilson boarded a ship back to Centauri Prime. It was his home now. He taught at the Vril Academy, helping young Vril understand humans while also teaching human students about Vril ways. As the ship rose into space, Wilson looked down at the Alliance headquarters building. Its design included elements from all member species, Thulian curves, Krell angles, human arches, Vril flowing lines, and many more. It was a perfect symbol of what they had built together. Not just peace, but understanding. Not just tolerance, but respect. All because one human took a walk, made a mistake, and then did the hard work of making things right.